Hey everybody, welcome to What the Flick, Season 1, Episode 3 of Turn. Alonzo Duralde, Robert Abele, William Bibiani. Is this show working yet?
No! not quite, but I mean, you wanted to, because you see things in it that you want to like. You have you see characters that you think are kind of interesting. Mm-hmm. You have setups that you're like, okay, yeah. I mean, like for example, I think it makes sense in a show about that wants to show you how complicated the Revolutionary War was, that you have that moment with the mutiny within the, within the, when they're transporting Simcoe, and I think that's like, it's like there are probably people who thought, which side do I want to be on when this thing all eventually ends? And yet that showdown was just not that interestingly done.
No, I mean, like it's a good idea for a plot point. There's a lot of good ideas for plot points on this show, and I'm always reminded of something Joss Whedon said, which is the first episode is not the pilot, the first 6 episodes are. So that gives them time to find their footing, figure out what works for all the actors. They're starting to have more fun with Simcoe in this episode as the captured, almost Hannibal-esque.
I'm getting a little sick of him. I feel like
he was just over the top.
Like every one of his lines should be preceded with "ew."
What I do appreciate is that this episode started to have a sense of humor. At the very least, it wasn't all dour and so convinced of its seriousness that the sort of hammy, contrived plotting that it tends to focus on didn't seem as annoying to me because it was pretentious in some way.
I think my favorite character is Anna. I think she's actually the most interesting person on this show. I like the fact that she's willing to lie to Abe about Simcoe being dead just to keep him.
I'm not entirely just to keep him motivated.
Basically, because if
he's your key guy, it doesn't work if you don't have
and if he finds out that you didn't do this one thing you said you were going to do on the first go round, then he's out. Obviously now we're building to the dramatic thing of when he discovers that this is a lie. But in the meantime, it's a cool motivation, particularly since she loves him, but obviously she loves the revolution more. And I liked her exchange with Caleb in the barn. That felt like, human beings talking. Okay,
If you love the revolution so much, why don't you marry it? Well, we were engaged before.
I liked her scene with the wife too.
They were good together. They were good together.
My favorite scene was was Abe and his dad with the guys when they're selling the hogs, because that just felt like a nice little interesting a bit of like you get it war profiteering, you get a nice little exchange, you get like Abe kind of like asserting himself. That great line about gloomy, I'm a judge's son. That was a great line. But even better though, I mean, and I hope this bodes well for the show, is that the actual moment of spycraft where he talks to the German soldiers and he gets the information from them, which felt real. It felt like this is how actually information was gotten. They wouldn't have thought he was
nobody knew loose lips saying ships yet.
And he learned something in a very realistic,
sauerkraut doomed the Hessians.
Yeah, that was good. That was like, okay, this is interesting. I mean,
spy stuff, as Ben would say.
And it keeps going. The show has many themes about espionage and traitors, and yet the most important thing we're seeing on the show is cabbages. There's been a cabbage-centric plot point. I mean, the first episode I joked, my cabbages! The second episode I forgot to joke, my cabbages! But here we get to change the inflection and go, my cabbages! Cabbages are saving America! And it's fantastic.
Maybe this is being sponsored by the U.S. Cabbage Council or something.
I keep expecting to see a commercial for some sauerkraut.
Cabbage, it's what's for slaw.
I was disappointed. I'm continually disappointed by some of the visual effects on this show.
I was going to say,
digital
we have to talk about these shitty green screens.
They have this moment, and God bless them, they're trying. In the writer's room, they thought this would be like a big epic moment when the dad says, "Son, welcome to New York Island." And I kept expecting Terry Gilliam to pop his head in and go, "It's only a matte painting." It looks so cheap, and it's so frustrating because there's so much money. It's obviously thrown at this.
The very end of the show, when Caleb goes rowing off and is clearly just like you see the lines around the boat. I just thought, oh God, just show him in the green room. What the hell?
I'm just like at that point. It's not even the uncanny valley, it just looks bad.
It's just cheap.
And it's just like, if you just made it misty that day and you just showed him like a close-up in the boat, it would have had more or less the same effect, and it wouldn't have been so distracting. And it's really frustrating to see that kind of a technical
technical. If you're going to build
deficiency.
that kind of moment as like your big, your zinger finale of the episode of like, ha, I got this boat and I'm safe now, then you better make that boat look like an actual boat that is on actual water, or else it's just,
or else it's Lifeboat, the Alfred Hitchcock film.
Exactly.
So are we still on board with the show? Are we still excited, or are we starting to?
I want to go halfway to the season, and
I'll take the Joss Whedon thing, and we'll give it 6.
Yeah,
but
like I wasn't here last week, but I mean, I know like I second episode was like I had a problem with them throwing the Angus McFadden character making it so obviously like intended to be like a threat to everybody, I'm just wanting the show to calm down and just be good.
I at least appreciated the directness of that. Like I think after that first really jumbled episode, I thought we needed something a little bit more focused. I don't necessarily want this to be an espionage of the week show, but at the very least that kept that episode tight. And whereas this one, it was just sort of, it's a little all over the place. We're starting to, there'll be a plot with Ben and the revolutionaries, and it only really kind of ties in with what's going on to Anna, and only really kind of ties in at the end with what's going on with Abraham, and that's fine. But it's just, I feel like we just need to keep all the characters together for a bit so that we can define them, figure out what their place is in this narrative, and then we can play with it.
Maybe they can all get locked in a freezer or something.
That would be great. They get locked in the new cabbage shed.
There you go.
My cabbages.
I wouldn't mind an espionage of the week show just because there's so many other, because the character stuff is also archy. Like it's all written with long expanses in mind in terms of who's betraying whom and the romance and the father son and all that stuff. So if they wanted to make the spy stuff more self-contained, I would be fine with that.
And I'd be fine with a show about just what it was like to kind of live and exist during the Revolutionary War.
Yeah, part of me wonders why we even, if that was the issue, if that was the goal here, why did we even need this? Because it's getting distracting from what could be, it could be really, really fascinating. I mentioned last week, and I still stand by this, I feel like we're really glossing over some of the uglier truths about the period, like Abraham seems to have slaves. That seems like a sort of thing where, I'd like that addressed at some point. I'd like to find out what that's like.
I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they're planting that for later. I agree with you that the man on the street stuff is good in terms of the just regular folks level of like, they aren't super committed to either side. It's more about, well, how's this going to come out and who's going to shoot me when this is over, depending on who wins.
I think that's really, really great. There was a moment where Abraham is just so frustrated with his father that he runs out into the streets of New York and he sees the British Army just marching through the streets.
Right.
And there was this moment where it actually felt like it had a sense of gravitas, like it's this impending doom. And then he goes to King's College and he sees the British flag painted there, and it's like you get the sense of his desperation, you get a sense of how trapped he is in the entire world. And that actually was very effective drama for a moment. And I got really, really into it. And if the show could just keep that level of oppression going and really get us to that sense and not constantly divert to the love plot, okay, yeah, we need to get that established, but honestly, I don't care. A lot of the other like little things. And then the world needs a focus.
No, I agree with you. I also think this show really could look better. I think the daytime exteriors are too bright. They're almost soap opera level. And again, there is that it's not grimy enough. It does feel like the trip to Colonial Williamsburg, where everybody's costumes are new and fairly unstained, and it's like
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with you.
I'm thinking there's a war on. Like Abigail Adams can't get pins. So
I don't need the show to be like a documentary. I mean, I don't mind if it looks it looks good. I just want the storytelling to be like. To warrant what the visual is.
But if it's distracting me, then
I think that's a connected thing. Well, I mean, I think it doesn't need to look like disgusting.
No.
I'm defending you here. Give me a moment. I just feel like you look at something like, and I brought up before, something like Deadwood, for example, which didn't necessarily feel disgusting. It felt lived in. And there's a lot of this that just everything, all the sets look too new. They look like people haven't been stomping around on them with muddy boots, or living with them, or they had a stain that didn't clean up properly or something. They look so fresh that it looks like this world was created Truman Show style for Abraham like a month ago. And I find that distracting, and that keeps me from getting invested in this very interesting, very dark, I say gritty because it should have actual grit on it.
Right.
Story of the American Revolution, which in theory, the reason you make the show is to show us something we haven't seen before, and to show it in a light we haven't seen before. And if I'm distracted by the artifice, that's not really immersing me in it. So I think they're connected.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's my thought.
That's taking me out of it. So it's the sort of, it's like what they say about editing or music, where it's best when you don't notice it. You know, if the costumes and the sets and stuff felt germane enough to what was going on, I wouldn't notice them. But the fact that I'm going, God, that looks too shiny and too fresh and too whatever.
Like, here's a detail I really appreciated in this episode. Like, it's something good. The Hessians' hats. They were just like, they were so silly to me, like as a modern, snooty guy, that I was just like, oh, those have to be real. Like there was an attention to detail that struck me as not something you'd see on a cheaper show.
Right.
And I really, really liked that and appreciated that, and it made me feel like I was more in the world.
All right. Well, next week, more cabbages, perhaps more hats. We'll see.
Cabbages!
Join us.
Take a drink every time I say my cabbages.